Morning all. Dan from Wilderness Grey. Dan Darth the Grey. Welcome, Greylins. Thank you, Jen. It's currently 20 to 6 in the AM because I've been up since 4 AM pondering my terrible life decisions. And this video is probably going to be a long one. Probably because I talk and you have a lot of comments in this one video I want to go over because it's really interesting. And unfortunately I'll probably have to leave for work about 7 o'clock. So this video will be up later on. But due to the time dilations in the space continuum, it'll be right now for you. So I made a video the other day. TikTok says when you die you transfer to another you. Genuine times I nearly and should have died. And I talked about all the times I really genuinely should have died because of all the dumb shit I used to do. And it was a TikToker talking about the parallel universe. And my theory was, we're going to elaborate on my theory as well. This is the theory I always had growing up, for those who didn't watch that video, is that every time I'd done something really stupid where I definitely should have died, my weird little thinking was back then was I did die and I immediately got thrown into a parallel universe version of me and carried on living. And some of you said, well, what about old age? We'll get to that because I did think of that. But I'm going to go through your comments and try and get to every single one. I might not be able to get all of you, but I will try. I'm just going to go from the top and just answer them as they come. So from Diane 0071. Another thought to add to my insomnia. If you died and went into another Dan's body, where does the person go whose body you claimed? I can't believe I asked this question. My mind is spiraling. Well, you're not the only one who asked that question. And this was something I thought about when I was younger with my little weird parallel universe me theory. Once again, this is theory, nothing else. Every version of me living in multiple universes, billions and millions and trillions, whatever, right now, are living the same life with slight tiny differences, but they have the same thoughts as I do. They have the same decisions, good, bad decisions. But when I die from all the dumb shit I used to do, and I get immediately thrown into another Dandalf's body, the only difference is that other version doesn't like disappear. That's still me. But when that new version of me woke up in the morning, instead of having toast for breakfast, he had porridge. That's the way I looked at it. So I didn't get rid of the other version of me. That was always me anyway. But when I got transported from this body, however many versions I am right now, I sound like a crazy person right now. When I got transferred from my other bodies into the new versions of me, that was still me. That was always me. But now, slight changes to that version of me. So the other version of me, whose girlfriend is dead, 100% Scarlett Johansson, he's waking up thinking, "Oh, Scarlett, do you want to go to Tesco's today?" Instead of thinking, "Scarlett, do you want to go to McDonald's today?" It's weird. It's weird. But that's what goes on in my brain sometimes. You have no idea. The shit runs through my brain, but I love that stuff. For Maisie Rose, that's really interesting. I also thought about things like this when I was a wee kid, and the thoughts would get so big I would end up crying. I didn't know if I was happy or sad, but I know I felt overwhelmed. Thanks for sharing the story with us. See, I'm not the only one who thinks this stuff. From Paul. So here's something I've been pondering lately. Around 8 years ago, I went to the hospital for surgery, and during recovery, I died 4 times, being brought back by the paddles each time. Now here's what I've been thinking. Am I a ghost? Did I actually die? Is this now me in the afterlife? If so, it bloody sucks, and there's no difference to the life I was already living. So that's how my brain works. Not wired correctly. Well, I'm glad you're still here, Paul. We need more discussions like this on YouTube. It was interesting to hear about the quantum immortality theory, and I like the idea of taking an article and discussing it so much. Do you know what's funny though, right? Do you know what's so funny what you just said there, quantum immortality theory? There's a video game called Outer Wilds, which is one of my favourite games ever in the world of existence of video games. You should, anyone who likes a cool little game, which looks like just a cool game when it first starts, and then it becomes an existential universe traveling, time traveling, life decision video game. It's really good. It's really good. That's all I want to say, because anything else I'll spoil it. But that goes into quantum immortality. It's really good. Outer Wilds. I recommend it. Go Places says, this is a subject I could talk about all day. Great video and interesting to hear your stories. I appreciate it. Kathy Gallagher, and good morning to you, Mr. Great. It was me sitting drinking my first cup of tea of the day, not thinking anything in particular. Clicked on this, and now my head is all over the place. Thinking about all the theories that I've had about life after death, multiverses, the Matrix, and for some reason, Bigfoot came to mind. Now my bloody tea has gone cold because I went off in my head. It's a mind ponderer, definitely. From Virtual Trucker, about 20 years ago, me and the now ex-wife decided it would be fun to go swimming at the sea. It was summer and we were practically melting alive. I needed to cool off. We'd been messing around for about 15 to 20 minutes when we noticed we'd been dragged out about a half a mile out. The tide was on its way out, and no matter how hard we swam, it felt like we were going further out with each stroke. 20 knackering minutes of swimming and both our arms were burning. Panic. I've been there, by the way. I've done that. Panic was beginning to set in, and we were quickly losing hope. Yes, we tried shouting, waving our arms and all that stuff, but no one noticed. We were getting closer to the shore, but it was taking so much energy just to stop us being dragged out. Suddenly I found purchase on the seabed. No, I didn't sink, dive, under or anything like that. My foot landed on something less fleshy. I don't know what it was because I couldn't see anything. All I knew is that it wasn't sand, and I assumed it was a big fish. Whatever it was just big enough to give me a minute to regain my strength for a final push, and because I'm writing this today, it means we both made it out alive. Or did we? I hope we did. Here's the strange part. 2 weeks prior to going for the swim with Doom, we helped my mother move into a new property. The old one was too big for her and she wanted something more easy to manage. We spent the entire day sorting out boxes, exploring her new garden, meeting the new neighbours. My wife remembers none of it. For her it never happened. She didn't nearly fall up the stairs carrying a box full of stuff. She didn't remember sitting on the back garden drinking orange juice. She knew my mother had moved and she knew where to, but she had no recollection of ever going around there. The neighbours all remember her and have recounted the same story to her as I had, but she swears blind it didn't happen. So the question is, if this quantum theory is correct, which one of us actually died and was replaced in an alternate universe? And what exactly did I stand on when I was struggling in the ocean? Well, going on my theory growing up, you died. Virtual Trucker, you died. That's the theory obviously. Not the theory. That's the thought process of my little weird theory. And now you're back. So don't worry about it. Jamie Dodger says, yep, I had sepsis so bad I should have died according to doctors. I was kidnapped by a stranger who was going to kill me, but I escaped. I was hit by a car, broke my back and neck, leg, foot, arm, etc. But had a blood clot at C2, the highest and last point they can fix it, and they thought I'd die. I should been paralysed, but I'm up and walking because I'm stubborn. I think of myself as an incredibly lucky person, not an unlucky one. You are definitely a lucky person. Fair play to you. Keith Walmsley says, this is great, Mr. Gray. I too ponder this question all the time. I thought about it over 30 years ago, since coming within an ace of committing suicide. But I have to say, I'm no wiser. I think it's 50-50. More videos like this would be great. I'd sense you getting weary of all the BS top 5s, as I think most of us are more on these kind of topics. Please. Well, Keith, I'm glad you're still here. More top 5s to come. Midnight Blue, I have a life-ending disease. Since my diagnosis, I've wondered a lot about the afterlife. I've concluded I am very much hope there is no such thing. Hope this doesn't upset or offend anyone, just the way I feel. Well, Midnight Blue, hope is always a good thing to hold on to, and there's nothing wrong with holding on to hope. Nobody knows what comes after this, so just have that hope, and I hope you're good. Like I said, a lot of you asked the same, so I won't answer every question. But from Talknado, it's an interesting theory, and I agree there's nothing unsettling because we'd be oblivious. When I learned of the parallel universes theory, I focused on the people who remained in the original universe and felt it was much easier being the one who died and got to jump into another universe. And if you're not reborn into a new baby version of yourself, but instead you remain your current age, what happens to you that you've replaced? Like I said earlier, the person you replace, that's you anyway. There's no difference between you and that person other than slight little differences. That's my brain that's my brain working that theory out. That's all I can say. From Gaz Mux, Multiple Dans and multiple universes are scary thoughts. This could fit into the simulation theory, and every time you die, your character gets rebooted into another instance of simulation. Interesting stuff. Do you know what I love about the simulation theory, mind? And if you don't know what the simulation theory is, the theory is that it's not 2023, it's something like 4023. A couple of thousand years into the future. And Earth right now is just a simulation of future beings running a little like SimCity game. But it's so advanced we just don't know, and we're nothing but in a simulation. And the cool thing about that theory is you can't prove it's wrong. So think about that one. From Tory UK, couple of points on this. I did very similar stupid things, and I've always assumed I survived because I was still conscious and not dead. My theory as a child was the brain's intact ideas that we are not physical beings at all, but part of an experiment like Matrix. This was in 1980, long before the Matrix. I do know that what's it called? Theoretical experiment or thought experiment, I think it was. The other theory I had was the actor theory, the idea that everyone, even my family, were actors trying to pretend to be real for some unknown reason. I think this is just paranoia. I think we call that the Truman Show effect. Who knows? But, you know, don't forget, I'm talking to anyone who watches, and it says anyone in the entire world, you are the lead actor of your own story. Because, you know, I know you think of, you know, you love other people, you think of other people, you put other people before you. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, you are your own conscious. Of course your consciousness is you. And that's not what I meant. You are the lead actor in your own story, so who knows? Maybe the people around you are. Maybe I'm just an actor. You don't know. You don't know. Maybe I'm just an actor. I'm joking. Please do not get paranoid. But it is a cool thought process. The Truman Show was real. Right, here we go. This is a lot of you asked, and this is why I'm getting to this. And it goes on. In quantum immortality idea, the issue I have is nobody ever dies. So why don't we have a world full of very old people? Go to China. No. Also, if we are reincarnated into a version that did not die, then that's not really us. It's a copy. Well, like I said in my earlier thing, it is us. You know, until we get transported into our body, it was always the same until boom, new version of Dan wants to play Assassin's Creed instead of Street Fighter. It's that kind of thing. He's always going to play a video game, but instead he picked a different game that when he woke up in his new version of himself. But the part where if nobody dies, why the world full of very old people? I did think of this growing up in my little weird thought theory. Old age is definitely happens. When I was thinking the past where I should have died, and maybe I did and I got transported in another body, it was, you know, from like a sudden death. That was my thinking. But in my theory, I'm calling it a theory like it's a scientific bloody fact. It's not. It's just my ridiculous thoughts. But in my theory, old age still happens. You can't stop the thralls of time, we'll say. Old age still happens. So that's how I got around that in my theory. It's one of the craziest videos I've ever made, fair play. Judging by the comments from Jenny J. Judging from the comments, Dan, I'm sure you've had a great day at work. Everyone dying and come back to life. Tell us the truth. You're a secret TikTok watcher. See, people think I got that from watching TikTok, that article. I definitely didn't. You know the MSN homepage on Bing? I saw it on there. And I thought, I got 2 minutes to kill. I clicked on it and I read it. And by the way, that TikToker is not the only one who came up with that. She didn't come up with that theory, by the way. The theory she was talking about is an actual real theory. So it wasn't just a TikTok thing. But I did see it on TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I love TikTok. Lisa Dawson says, hey Mr. Gray, I thought a lot about multiple universe stuff. I have a theory that maybe ghosts aren't ghosts, but a parallel universe basically touching our own. Neil deGrasse Tyson said the exact same thing. I don't think he was genuinely thinking this way, but he said there is a possibility that ghosts, if you know people who do see ghosts, it's a possibility that they are just other versions or other people coming from an alternate reality, parallel universe, and just, you know, those universes are slightly rubbing together a bit, and that's where the friction comes, and that's where ghosts come from. It's a cool theory, and Neil deGrasse Tyson said the same thing. Based purely on an experience I've had in my current home, I also had a weird thing happen when an induced coma 2 years ago, but that's another story for another time. I started thinking about this whole parallel universe stuff since Professor Stephen Hawking had done a research paper around the whole theory, which sparked my interest. There you go, Stephen Hawking as well. If a brain like that believes it to be a real possibility, then who knows? And I stand by Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff. I like this stuff. Well, why wouldn't I? It's science. Echo says, yep, even as a kid, atheist family, I would always say I won't care once I'm dead, kind of disturbing from a kid, but it gave me a more robust standpoint. Now, I do like to believe there is something because it's a nice thought, but I think it's weird when someone dies and people say they're sorry for the dead person. I'm not, I'm sorry for the person's family. Yeah. You know, the person who's passed away, they now have no worries, it's the families. Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. Major Farnsworth says, there is only one thing worse than dying, and that's living forever. I think that life can only have a meaning if it's finite. The limited time we have forces us to make choices, judgments, and take one path over another. It forges us into who we are and reveals what is important to us. An unlimited amount would be devastating and leave us formless and without direction or meaning. As for being dead, I'd say there's little to fear. It's probably like a dreamless sleep that lasts for an eternity or no time at all. I've always said I wouldn't want to live forever, but I would like to. I'd like to have. This is my superpower I'd like to have, right? I wouldn't mind a bit of flight, invisibility. Mind reading, I don't want that. I don't want to know what people think of me. But living forever, I wouldn't want to live forever. But I would want to have like a life which maybe when a couple of 100 years, maybe, I know you'd lose loved ones around you, or maybe they could have the same superpower, you don't know. But I would want a superpower where I could live as long as I wanted. But then when I decided, right, I think I've had enough now, I just, you know, click a button or do something with my superpower, and then boom, okay, now I'm mortal, and now I can live out the rest of my short life after my superpower, I should say. It's time to step off, basically. That's what I like. But I've always said I'd like to go like, I don't know, a couple of 100 years maybe. I wouldn't mind that. Just to see if Love Island is still going, so I can still avoid it. Something. I don't know. Oh, I hate that show. But yeah, I wouldn't mind living a long, really long life, but like having the option of, right, I've seen enough, I've done enough, it's time to go on. Or move on, I should say. That's my thinking. Joe69 says, I kind of knew I shouldn't have watched this. I have a terrible fear of dying. I like to believe there's an afterlife, but as I've never experienced any proof, there's a big subconscious doubt. However, your theory of it, there is nothing when we die, we therefore won't remember living, has made me feel a tad better. Exactly. I've said this for years, by the way, before I made that video. I see. Right. Let me clarify. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of how I die. Right. I don't want to go a horrible fucking death. You know what I said in the previous video, where in my eyes, when you die, it's a win-win situation, because if there's an afterlife, I don't know why I keep doing that, it's really annoying me. If there is an afterlife, and you know, you go on to see your past loved ones, win. I'm winning, it's great. If there isn't, and there's absolutely nothing, and you know, like I said, you're based on the experiences and your memories, but when you pass away and there's nothing, obviously there's nothing of you to remember anything, it's still a win. It's weird when you think of it deep down, but that's my thought process. It's a win-win situation. Not dying, but after death. It's going so deep, this video. Oh, there you go. Someone mentions Neil deGrasse Tyson right there in the same theory. There you go. Matt says, I think a death is the same as before being born. We had no existence or memories before we were born, and we will have no existence and memories when we die. It comes full circle. Exactly. This is one, you know, this is the win-win situation in my eyes. Right, do you know what? Before I get further now, because I am gonna have to go to work soon, I'm gonna leave this as a part one. I'm definitely gonna carry on with the rest of the comments, because there's a lot of really interesting comments, and it's one of my favorite videos I've made. This is because it's opened up a lot of questions about stuff which I really like talking about. If I haven't got to your comment yet, I will, or if I haven't, it's just because they've asked the same things, but I will get to the rest of the comments because it's really interesting to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you like this video. Leave a sub if you're new to my channel. I do this quite often. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go off to work now, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.